this beautiful time of sharing. Good evening, good evening. Do me a big favor, share the link with your friends and loved ones. Wherever you have joined me from, share the link with a friend, share the link with a loved one. For those on Instagram Live, tag your friends right in the comments. Okay, put their handle in the comments. They will get to see that we are live. All right, our topic for today is let my people think. Let my people think. Wherever you have joined me from, you are welcome. Temi Obasa, I see you. You are welcome. Thank you for being here. Folks on Mixah, I see you. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. People on Facebook, people on YouTube, you're welcome. Thank you for joining me for this session this evening. Mayo Ababatunde, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like I said, our topic for today is let my people think. If you have been following me closely, you will realize that we have been on a journey, a personal development journey for a couple of weeks now. Okay, our journey actually is a journey to mental and emotional fitness. Okay, it's a journey to mental and emotional fitness. We began with emotional healing, then from there we moved to developing strong convictions, and then we are now moving to what? Thinking skills. Okay, we're moving on to thinking skills. Let me say it like this: the Christian experience is a transformation process. The Christian experience is a transformation process, and what God does is through the instrument of teaching, okay, or what you would probably want to call revelation, teaching or revelation, or perhaps through learning, God takes a person from healing, then he takes the person to developing strong convictions, and then from there he moves the person to operating by wisdom or by power. Okay, this is important. The Christian experience is a transformation process. From the moment a person begins a functional relationship with God, God systematically begins to take the person from healing. The first step is healing. Okay, you see, what happens to most of us is as we are growing up in life, issues come up, life happens, we face conflicts, we face challenges, and by reason of such experiences, it's possible for a person to have been damaged or corrupted in their soul. And so the first thing God wants to do is healing, okay, through the word. And everything he does, all this through his word, through teaching, through revelation, through your learning. The first thing God wants to do is healing from within. He wants to give you healing from within. Then from there, he moves you to developing strong convictions. Strong convictions. I'm going to use the language we are very familiar with in a moment, okay, but follow me closely. Okay, it begins to help you to develop strong convictions. From that point on, you now begin to operate in wisdom or power. You see, wisdom and power are two expressions of a person who has developed strong conviction. Now, let's go back to stage one. Stage one is healing. How do I know that I have completed stage one or I have experienced stage one? When you get emotional healing, when you are emotionally healed, how you know is your ability or your capacity for love. When a person is healed within, when you have what I call soul prosperity, the first sign is your capacity for both expressing love and receiving love. Now, you continue to learn, you continue to grow, your transformation continues, and then the next landmark is strong conviction. The language we understand or we're familiar with is called faith. Okay, that is when you get to the point where you have a mind of your own, you know God for yourself. Okay, you know exactly what you believe at your core, and what you believe is determining how you behave. You are a person of strong conviction, and then from there you move on to operating by wisdom. You move on to operating in the power of God. You have developed capacity. Okay, and that is what I have been systematically taking us through. from emotional healing to developing strong conviction. Now we want to talk about, thinking, We want to talk about essentially wisdom and power. When we start talking about thinking skills, now we're talking wisdom and power. I want us to read from Proverbs chapter 24. Proverbs chapter 24 and verse 3 to 6. Permit me to read it from the Amplified Bible. It says, "Through skillful and godly wisdom, a house, that is, a life, a home, a family is built. And by understanding, it is established on a sound and good foundation. And by knowledge, its rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches." Now look at verse 5. "A wise man is strong, and a man of knowledge strengthens his power. For by wise guidance you can wage your war, and in an abundance of wise counselors there is victory and safety." So this is very, very important. It is by wisdom that a life or a family or a home is built. What is wisdom? Wisdom is the right application of knowledge. Wisdom is the right application of knowledge. So knowledge is not the problem. The way we apply knowledge, is wisdom. All right. Now the Bible is saying that it is through skillful and godly wisdom. Skillful and godly wisdom. I like the word skillful there. Godly means that it is of God. It is in consonance with the will of God. It is in alignment with God's values. But then it says skillful wisdom. Thinking skills, essentially, is what the Bible is talking about. Now I want to ask a question. What separates high flyers from the rest of the pack? What is it that all successful people have in common? Now this is the answer. They think differently. The one thing that successful people have in common is that they think differently. Let me share with you the words of John Maxwell this evening. John Maxwell says, "I have studied successful people for 40 years. And though the diversity you find among them is astounding, I found out they are all alike in one way: how they think. That is the one thing that separates successful people from unsuccessful ones. And here's the good news. How successful people think can be learned. If you can change your thinking, you can change your life." Now, what I'm sharing with us is very, very crucial. Let's back up a little bit for those who have been following me right from the beginning of the series, The Inside Job. The first thing is emotional healing. You need to be delivered from every sense of inadequacy. You need to stop feeling bad about yourself. You need to stop being afraid. Now, through information, you gain healing. All right, the Bible says that God sent his word and delivered them. Healed them and delivered them from their destruction. Now that's healing. From there, you now move on to, if you remember, for those of us who have downloaded the Inside Job Declaration, and that is a process through confession, you now develop conviction. You know exactly what you believe. See, the moment you know exactly what you believe, the next stage is for you to, through skillful wisdom, begin to prosecute your life, or better still, begin to, seek whatever it is you want to achieve with your life. Now, that is the point where we are now. When you look at life, you will notice some people are high flyers, some people are average, some people are very successful, while some other people struggle. John Maxwell says the major difference between these two sets of people is how they think. See, so many successful people, they are diverse, in their approach to life, in their taste, in their quest. But there's one thing they all have in common, and it is the way they think. Now, the way they think can be learned. So the big idea I came to share with you this evening is this: if you think like them, you will produce their kind of results. Okay? If you think like them, you will produce their kind of results. Let me share another quote from John Maxwell with you. John Maxwell says that knowledge alone is not power. Knowledge has value only in the hands of someone who has the ability to think well. Knowledge alone is not power. Knowledge only has value in the hands of someone who has the ability to think well. And what I want to share with you today and next Wednesday is that you can develop this ability to think well. How successful people think can be learned. I'm reminded of a story I heard from Bishop T.D. Jakes. A time in their church, they were building, their church building. It was very, very expensive. They needed a lot of money. And then, there was this very rich guy who was coming to town. And somebody was speaking with Bishop Jakes. And, the person said, okay, we could make an arrangement. You could meet with this person. Who knows if he, finds out the project you are trying to execute, he may want to donate to the building project. And Bishop Jakes said, I said to them, you know what? I would love to meet him, but I don't want him to donate. If I can sit in the same room with him, if I can listen to him and gain his perspective, I will produce his wealth. It's a mistake I see a lot of people make all the time. When they see somebody who is accomplished, when they see somebody who is successful, a lot of times people grapple for what they have. You don't have to grapple for what somebody who is successful has. All you need to do is gain his perspective. If you can think the way he thinks, you can produce his kind of results. And the good news is that how successful people think can be learned. So many years ago, I stumbled on a book by John Maxwell titled Thinking for a Change. That's the old title. Okay, after some years, he repackaged the book. Now the new title is How Successful People Think. In that book, John Maxwell identifies 11 thinking skills of successful people. This is very simple and straightforward. You can get the book, you can study the book. All you need to do is master these 11 thinking skills and begin to apply them, and you begin to produce the kind of results that these successful people produce. Okay, what I am going to do in our time is to share 2 of them with you today, and then next Wednesday I will look at another 3 of those principles. All right, and I'm going to be counting on you to look for the remaining 6 yourself. Just get the book. This presentation will not in any way excuse you from getting a copy of that book and studying these principles for yourself. In the book How Successful People Think by John Maxwell, he identifies 11 thinking skills of successful people. Every one of us can learn those skills. The moment we start practicing those thinking skills, we will produce the kind of results that these successful people produce. So I want to look at 2 of them, okay, in the time that we have left, and then next Wednesday I will look at 3 of them. The first one I want to share with us is what I call, or what in the book he referred to as, big picture thinking. Okay, big picture thinking. Now, what is big picture thinking? Big picture thinking is making a connection between what you are doing and why you are doing it. Okay, making a connection between what you are doing and why you are doing it. Okay, I say this to people all the time. The most important question you can ever ask in life is the question, why? Okay, why? Don't just get busy. At every point in time, always make sure there is a connection between what you are doing now and why you are doing it. Let me push it further to say there must be a connection between what you are doing and why you exist. Okay, in previous sessions, we've talked about purpose, how to discover purpose, how to live on purpose. See, at every point in time, big picture thinking is, look, every time I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I must connect it to why I exist, why I'm doing this thing in the first place. See, when you know why and you are conscious of why you are doing what you are doing, it will affect how you do what you're doing. When you are mindful of the fact that this is important. Let me give an example. Les Brown told the story of how when he started in sales, he would go from door to door, and I think it was marketing TV sets, I said he will knock on doors and then people will slap the door in his face. He said, but he did not give up. Why? Because he said he had a mother at home. If he did not sell, he had no money to take home to take care of his family. He said, so that prompted him to knock on doors, to go from, sale to sale, from rejection to rejection without losing enthusiasm, because he was conscious of why he was doing what he was doing. And it's the same thing for each and every one of us. Big picture thinking is what helps us to do what we are doing the way we are supposed to be doing it, because we are mindful of why we are doing it. Big picture thinking is making that connection between what you are doing and why you are doing it. Let me ask you this question. How does your role fit into the overall objective of your organization or your team? A lot of people don't think like that, and that's the reason why they lose relevance. You can get busy at work, you can get busy even in non-profit organizations, and if you're not careful, you lose relevance because you have lost connection between what you are doing and why you are doing it. Let me describe it another way. Big picture thinking is seeing the whole journey in your mind before you take the first step. Okay, that's big picture thinking. Seeing the whole journey in your mind before you take the first step. And like I said before, it is answering the question, why? Okay, so around the time that America launched the first mission to the moon, a female janitor at NASA was asked to describe a job. She said simply, I'm putting a man on the moon. Now think about that. She was just a janitor. But she understood every time I clean, okay, I'm not just cleaning, I am facilitating the objective of this organization. They asked her, what do you do? What's your job description? She said, I am putting a man on the moon. All she did was clean. But she was able to connect, okay, what she was doing with the objective of the organization. Okay, I'm reminded of a story, okay, of two masons, okay, who were building. Now, one was told exactly why he was doing what he was doing. The other one was not given any reason. He was just told to, build. The one that was just told to build, somewhere along the line got discouraged, okay, and gave up. The other one did not lose enthusiasm. And when they asked him, exactly what are you doing? He said, I'm building a cathedral. Now, it was just an ordinary mason, but because he could connect putting one block on top of the other with the big picture, he did not lose enthusiasm. In the book, John Maxwell said something very, very insightful. He said, the person who forgets the ultimate is a slave to the immediate. The person who forgets the ultimate is a slave to the immediate, okay? Big picture thinking will help you maintain your perspective in the midst of difficult circumstances. As one of the major advantages of big picture thinking, okay? It will be difficult for you to give up because at every point in time, you are conscious. Listen, on the journey of life, you will have many opportunities to quit. Okay, the most exciting aspects of any venture is conception and execution. Okay, when you're done, harvest season, okay, fulfillment season, you see. But in between is what I call the process. The process is not funny. The process is not attractive. The process can be very discouraging, and it is in the process that a lot of people give up, forgetting that it is in the process that the miracle happens. You see, but what happens in the process happens very slowly. So what's going to help you crash through quitting moments, what's going to help you not give up in the midst of difficulty is because at every point in time, you are mindful of why you are doing exactly what you are doing. Somebody gave the example. I was just listening, to one very, very good speaker this morning, Danny Meyer actually, and he gave this example of how, you see, conceiving a baby, all right, and when the baby is growing, all right, after delivery are beautiful times. Everybody's excited at a little baby, we want to carry them. You see, but the gestation period, the pregnancy can be very difficult. And the reason why a woman will not give up in that 9-month period is because she's conscious of the fact, look, I'm not just uncomfortable, I am bringing another human being into the world. The challenge is if you don't practice big picture thinking, we give up. Sometimes we just get overwhelmed. Sometimes we just get very discouraged and we forget why we started the journey in the first place, and then we misbehave, we give up, say what we're not supposed to say, do what we're not supposed to do because we have lost sight of why we started the journey in the first place. That's big picture thinking. Okay, big picture thinking. Like I said before, what I'm sharing with us will not suffice will not take the place of reading the book. What I want to do in these 2 sessions is to inspire you, okay, to challenge you to go pick up this book and read it for yourself. The book is titled How Successful People Think by John Maxwell. The second thinking skill that I'm going to share with us, and that's where I'm going to round up this evening, is focused thinking. Okay, focused thinking. What is focused thinking? Focused thinking is processing an idea to an effective conclusion. Focused thinking is processing an idea to an effective conclusion. What does it do for us? Focused thinking removes distraction and mental clutter so that you can concentrate on an issue and think with clarity. Now, this is what we're trying to say. The skill here is to say, you know what? If I am thinking about, let me look for an example. Let's say somebody is, you've done your first degree, now you want to do your master's degree, and you've chosen to look, I want to understand, what do I want to do? Which course do I want to study? Where do I want to study it? How do I want to raise funds? You see, you can sit down and make sure that you start that process and you don't get up from that table until you have documented the whole process. That's focused thinking. Now, people who are mentally lazy don't practice focused thinking. Now, let me say this to you. You see, when we come up with ideas, when we imagine what is possible, our body rewards us, okay, with what is called feel-good hormones. At the point where you are imagining things, your body does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So when you start thinking about, let me give you an example, let me practice this on you right now. Wherever you are, I just want you to imagine yourself right now sitting in a brand new Mercedes Benz. Okay, it's your birthday, somebody just came to your house right now, okay, and the person has just given you the keys to a brand new Mercedes Benz. It's right in front of your house. I want you to see yourself sitting in that car right now, okay? I want you to breathe in the smell of a brand new car, leather seats, okay, everything brand new. I want you to picture yourself listening to the sound of the engine. Rev it a little bit, rev it again. I'm sure everybody can picture it. Right now you are feeling good. Okay, your mind does not know that this is not happening, that you are just thinking about it. See, when we are imagining things like that, we feel good. And if you're not careful, you become what I call an idea junkie. You would continue to imagine things and you will feel good, but it is focused thinking that says, okay, how is this going to be? You see, the moment we start thinking about the process of turning this dream to reality, our brain begins to sweat. If care is not taken, you will shut down. Okay, and what happens to a lot of people, why they never get to fulfill their objectives, is because they don't allow themselves to think through. You are in a meeting, okay, the boss says, okay, you know what, Femi, I want you to do this for us. You see, at the point when the boss says, I want you to do this for us, see, the idea of doing it, let me give an example. Say the boss says, also we have an invitation to this event, okay, on the island. I want you to represent us, okay. Let's assume the event is happening at a hotel. Now, Femi is in the meeting and all Femi sees is, wow, an event at a hotel. It's exciting, it's fun. But Femi has not factored what time is this event, what day of the week is it, okay, what time is it. After the meeting, Femi gets the detail of the meeting, of the event, and finds out this event is holding on a Monday morning at 11:30. Femi leaves on the mainland. If Femi is not careful, he just shuts down. Because now he's seeing how that, look, it's not as fun as I thought. I'm going to have to be in traffic. For me to be there by 11, I must leave my house maybe at 7 a.m. or at 8 a.m. And then he begins to get overwhelmed. And what he does not do is think through. Femi has a deadline in the office by 12:30. This event is at 11 o'clock. Femi has not calculated, how am I going to get to the island, attend this event, and be back in the office, okay, by 12:30 for my deadline. Femi does not make an alternative arrangement for the deadline he has by 12:30. So by the time he comes back to the office at 2 p.m., they call him into a meeting to make a presentation, okay, about the deadline of 12:30. Now he gives the Eco Hotel event as an excuse for missing the 12:30 deadline. Now, the boss says, but when I told you to represent us, you already knew you had this 12:30 deadline. And then he keeps quiet. He leaves the meeting thinking this man is just impossible. Was he not the one that told me? And the problem is because he got excited at the prospect of representing the organization at Eco Hotel, and he did not think through. And that's what happens to a lot of people. We think, but we don't think to a logical conclusion. we don't process to the end. Some people come up with ideas like that, and because they don't think through, when you are presenting your idea, another person listening to you begins to poke holes in your presentation, and it looks like they don't like you. Oh, why is this person trying to drag me now? No, you did not do your homework. You did not practice focused thinking. Now, just like a magnifying glass and the sun, focused thinking optimizes your creative ability. When you just say to yourself, it's just like somebody who wants to write a book. You can just sit down. You won't write the whole book at a sitting, but you can sit down and from the beginning to the end of the book, develop an outline and say, you know what, I'm going to start here, then I would go here, and I would go here, and I will end here. Now I have, an outline for the book. That is focused thinking. Somebody says, I'm getting married in 2023. Think through. How much is it going to cost? How am I going to raise this kind of money? You see, trusting God, being in faith is not an excuse for not thinking through. This is important because a lot of times people don't do the thinking they are supposed to do, and they just, oh, God is going to do it, or something is going to happen. No, nothing is going to happen if you don't think through. Now, because you see, if you have not seen it before, it's difficult for you to expect it. If you don't expect it, it's likely not to be delivered to you. So we have to learn to do what? To think through. As I round up this evening, what I want to do, and this is all from the book, How Successful People Think by John Maxwell, I want to round up with how to stay focused, 5 things you should do to stay focused. You want to practice focused thinking. These are 5 things you should do. The first one is remove distractions. You want to practice focused thinking, remove distractions. If you are going to think, choose a time, choose a place where you practice your thinking, and then say to yourself, from this time to this time, you drop your phones, be in a place nobody can disturb you, because give yourself time. I'm going to spend the next 2 hours, processing this idea. If you're the kind of person that you have to be creative, or the job you do, the life you live requires that you innovate, that you produce content, you have to have focused thinking. You have to have a time and a place for thinking, and you have to remove distractions. Some of us, social media can be a major distraction. So if you want to practice focused thinking, you tell yourself, no checking of social media, no email, put your phone on silence. Nobody's calling me. If anybody should call me, I'll return the call later. The next 2 hours, I want to work on this project. You take away distractions. Be in a place where nobody can distract you. Step number 2, make time for focused thinking. I've made reference to that already. Make time for focused thinking. Don't just say, I want to practice focused thinking. Allocate time, for focused thinking. All right. Step number 3, keep items of focus before you. Keep items of focus before you. So for example, let me give an example. I'm currently working on a book, and I have so right here, this is my workstation, my home office. So I work here. I have paraphernalia around me that inspires me, that helps me to understand, the project I'm working on. I have the cover of the book, for example, designed. I have it on my desktop, and sometimes I just put it on my phone. When I'm working, it's right in front of me. I'm looking at it. So for example, somebody you want to, maybe you are planning to build a house, have somebody design the house for you. Put that design in front of you. When you are practicing your thinking, let items that represent what you want to achieve be around you. If you want to use a vision board, use a vision board. But by all means, let visual, representatives of what you want to achieve, visual symbols of what you want to achieve, let them be around you. The environment where you practice your thinking is very, very important. The next step is this step number 4, set goals. Set goals. To practice focused thinking, set goals. When I say set goals, this is crucial when you're setting goals. What do I want to achieve? When do I want to achieve it? The moment you set a goal, you will notice that, you see, the power of deadlines forces you to think about what you want to achieve, because you have a limited time to achieve it. So set goals in two ways. Set goals for what you want to do, but you can also set goal for thinking. And say, okay, you know what, I'm going to allocate this time. When I wake up tomorrow morning, I'm going to spend the next 2 hours thinking about this thing, okay, sorting out this thing, clarifying this issue, okay. So by this time, I would have documented my thoughts and my plan. All right, use the power of goal setting to force yourself to think. I stumbled on a quote very recently, okay, that really inspired me, and it says that you don't need more time. Creativity only needs a deadline. It's amazing how that as you are approaching a deadline, you also grow in your ability to create and to innovate. That's the power of deadlines. So when you set goals, it helps you to be focused. And of course, finally, we're talking about how to stay focused. The fifth step is to question your progress. Okay? Question your progress. So these are 5 things you need to do to stay focused. Remove distractions. Make time for focused thinking. Okay? Keep items of focus before you. Set goals. And then question your progress. So when we say question your progress, what do we mean? Don't just be busy. Okay? If it's possible, at the end of every day, you ask yourself, so what did we achieve today? What did we say we were going to achieve? What did we achieve? If you achieved your objective, what factors contributed to my achievement? If you did not achieve your objective, how did I get distracted? And then you can allow yourself to reprogram yourself and plan for the next day. Okay, you question your progress. Are we on the way to where we said we are going? Are we doing what we said we were going to do? If not, why are we distracted? When you question your progress, it allows you to focus your mind on the important. All right, allow me to stop there today. We are going to continue next Wednesday. But like I said, I'm sharing with us essentially from the book, How Successful People Think by John C. Maxwell. I want to challenge you to get the book. In this book, John Maxwell identifies 11 thinking skills of successful people. In the time that we have, I'm only going to be able to cover about 5 of them. And even at that, I'm not going to be exhaustive. What I really want to do is challenge you to get the book. Now, what's the objective of what we are sharing? Is that successful people think differently from unsuccessful people. But how successful people think can be learned. If you master their thinking skills, you will produce their kind of results. All right, we're going to stop there tonight and then continue next Wednesday. Okay, somebody wants to know the last point. Okay, we're talking about how to stay focused. The 5 of them, let me say them again. Remove distractions. That's number 1. Number 2, make time for focused thinking. Number 3, keep items of focus before you. Number 4, set goals. And then number 5, question your progress. Okay, question your progress. So we'll round up there tonight. If you have any question, please, if you're on Instagram Live, please use the question icon. If you're on Mixah, use the chat section. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, use the chat, okay, section on both platforms. Quickly send in your question. I will try to answer as many as I can answer before we round up tonight. Okay, thank you very much for being a part of this time. So quickly, if you have a question, please send in your question related or maybe not fully related to what we're sharing, but you want me to perhaps throw some light on an idea. Send in your question right away and then we can take them this evening. If you're on Facebook or on YouTube, you can also send in your question. All right. By the way, all past editions, okay, of my live programs are available on my YouTube channel. So you can go on YouTube and watch, okay, all the materials I've shared from the beginning of the Inside Job series up until today. Everything is on YouTube. You can go watch again. Okay, so somebody wants to know, how do we draw the line between thinking/strategizing about the future and worrying about the future? It's very simple. Thinking is positive, okay? Thinking is progressive. Worrying is negative. Okay, worrying is negative. As a matter of fact, worrying, I like to describe worry as an abuse of the imagination. Okay, worrying is an abuse of your imagination. It is you pre-playing things, negative things that are likely to happen, and that is not helping you, because a lot of times, most of the things we are afraid of never happen. Okay, most of the things we are afraid of never happen. Another question here says, what do you do when you are trying to be focused on something and other important things pop up that needs attention? Okay. So I call some things legitimate distractions. Okay. And what do I mean by that? When you are trying to achieve something, you're trying to be focused, it's possible for something else to pop up, okay, that is equally important. So the first thing I tell people to do is don't act on anything if it's not documented. Every step you take must be following a script you have drawn for yourself. So I talked about this extensively in my book, The Checklist. See, there are interruptions. Sorry, there are distractions. There are interruptions, okay? And then there are setbacks. Let me explain that quickly. A setback is an event or an occurrence that slows your progress, sets you back. There's nothing you can do about it. What you do about a setback is you rest and you bounce back. There are distractions. Now, distractions are temptations for you to be derailed. Okay? In other words, if you don't respond to a distraction, it will not affect you. So what do you do to distractions? You ignore them. Okay? A lot of times conflicts, okay, come in that regard. People you know, people that are close to you sometimes conflict with you, and it can be a major distraction. What do you do to distractions? You ignore them. I can't be exhaustive on that tonight. But what legal distractions, what I call legal distractions, really are interruptions. In other words, these are opportunities that will move you forward. You just did not plan for them. So what do? Pause what you are doing, give attention to this new thing that has popped up that is going to take you forward, execute it, but because what you were doing before was according to plan, all you need to do is go back to that and ask yourself, where did I stop? And continue from there. But people who don't have their plans documented find it difficult to deal with interruptions positively. Okay, a lot of the good opportunities that will come to you in life sometimes will not give you advance notice. Okay, so if you're the kind of person where, let's just be practical. Say you're working on, let me see now. Say you're working on, let me see an example I can use. So you are saving up to buy a car. Okay, you're saving up to buy a car. Let's assume the car will cost you, say, 25 million. You have saved up 15 million, okay, to buy this car. And then suddenly somebody tells you there's an opportunity, a plot of land that would have gone for maybe about 75 million. Somebody is doing a distress sale for 10 million. Okay, see, you can suspend saving up to buy the car, take 10 million out of the 15, buy the land, and come back to, okay, so what were we doing? We were trying to raise 25 million to buy the car. Oh, now I'm back to 5 million, and continue. You have seized the opportunity to secure this plot of land that you would have gotten for 75 million, say for 10. This is an absurd illustration, but you know the way it is. I didn't plan this, okay? I mean, but such opportunities come. But it is people who have a plan, who are doing something that can recognize that, oh, this is another fantastic opportunity. And so you can detour, okay, attend to this, and then continue with what you were doing before. Of course, this can happen in so many ways. For example, you're a musician, you are working on your album, okay, and all the money you have been saving up, you want to pay a producer, okay, to produce your song. While you are working on that, somebody comes up with an opportunity that will cost you some money, but can further your career. Okay, you can say, you know what, I can delay producing my album for maybe another 6 months. Let me capitalize on this, and then I'll be back to what I was doing before. I hope that answers your question. Okay, it is either a distraction or an interruption, a positive occurrence that will push you forward. If it's just a distraction that will derail you, ignore it. If it's an interruption that will move your life forward, then pause what you're doing, attend to it, and then move back to what you were doing before. I hope that does justice to that question. Do we have any question? Quickly, let me check on Mixlr. No, we don't have a question. So that's where we're going to draw the curtains tonight. Thank you very much for being a part of this. Like I said, everything I've shared and even past editions, okay, of Life and Leadership with Segun, okay, is available on my YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com/Segun, okay, Segunoke. and everything is available to you. Share the link with friends. While you are there, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Once from time to time, I will post content, okay, that I did not even, share live. I put it on my YouTube channel. So subscribe to the channel, okay, and follow me there. And thank you very much. I guess we can wrap up from there. Thank you so much, folks on Mixlr. I see you. Thank you for being there. People on YouTube, people on Facebook, thank you for this. I look forward to seeing you next week. And in case you have a question, you want me to, somebody says, I have a question, please. Can you send it in quickly? We're about to round up. Precious, peculiar. Make it very, very snappy. We are about to round up. So while I wait for your question, let me also say this to everybody. 1st to 3rd of July 2022. There's a powerful event happening in the city of Lagos. Okay, it's our Reset 2022. It's our media conference at Hill City. Friday 6 p.m., Saturday 10 a.m., Sunday 9 a.m. It's going to be huge. It's going to be massive. The theme is moving forward. That's actually the title of my book that I'm currently working on. Okay, plans are in place for the book to be available at that conference, moving forward. But I'm going to be teaching from that book throughout the conference, and some of my good friends are going to be joining me for this conference. Gideon Mba will be there. Bayo Shinuga from the UK will be there. Bolaji Dowu from Avestas Lagos will be there, and of course my wife Adenrele Oke will also be speaking at this conference. You don't want to miss it for anything. All right, so let's take the question from Precious. It says, if God tells you to do something but you can't afford to do it in terms of money. Truth be told is most of the things that God will tell you to do will be things you cannot afford to do financially by yourself. What you must put at the back of your mind is that when God talks to a person, he sees more than that person. Okay? Most of the time when God speaks to you, he expects you to collaborate with other people to fulfill what he has asked you to do. If God tells you to do something and you can do it all by yourself, that's proof you did not hear from God. So it's not peculiar. What you need to know is leverage on relationships, okay? Collaborate with other people to achieve what God has called you to do. The only thing I'm going to say to you, it is people who know you, people you have credibility with, that will believe that it is true that God asked you to do something. That's number one. Number two, when you have invested in other people, it is natural for them to also want to invest in you when you need them. So most of the time, God is only one side of the equation. The quality of your relationships, okay, matter a great deal. Quickly, let me give you a biblical example. The story of the woman, the wife of the prophet who died. She went to Elisha and said, my husband, your servant is dead. The creditor has come to take my 2 sons. Elisha said, how can I help you? What do you have in your house? She said, I have nothing except a little jar of oil. The prophet said, go to your neighbors and borrow vessels, and borrow not a few. And then she went to her neighbors and borrowed vessels. But this is what may be missing. The quality of her relationship before her husband died will determine the amount of vessels she will get. Any neighbor she was not talking to will not borrow her vessels. Okay? And then she got home, she poured, we all know the story. She went back to the prophet, so I've got pot of oil in my house, and then the prophet said, go and sell. Now, the quality of your sales is determined by the quality of your relationships. If people don't like you, they will not patronize you. So a lot of times when God is involved in our affairs, we limit the impact of God's involvement by the quality of our relationships with men. I give another example. Luke chapter 6 verse 38 says, give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shake it together and running over, shall men. So when God gets ready to move in somebody's life, he uses men. So the quality of your relationship with men will limit the impact of the move of God in your life. So when God asks you to do something you cannot do by yourself, it is because he expects you to collaborate with others for getting it done. Okay. All right, you say, but how can I be asking them for money? They will say that if God told me that he should provide it. Yes, God will provide it, and he does it through people that you already know. And that's what I'm saying. The quality of your relationships before your divine instruction will determine how far you will be able to execute your divine instruction. God will never ask you to do anything you can do by yourself. It will always require that you leverage your relationships with other people. This is very, very important. I see so many young people, especially who want to do ministry, okay, and this is where they get stuck. If you don't know how to build good relationships, God's agenda for you and through you will be limited. You've got to build relationships. I've got a question from Mixah. Okay. Quick question, sir. Yeah, type in the question fast. Let's deal with it quickly before we go. I'm talking to you, Mr. Ifeanyi, on Mixah. Okay, quickly type your question. If you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook, you can also send in your question. All right. We have people monitoring those platforms who will let me know that I have a question from you, and I will quickly answer it. So, Precious Peculiar, I hope I've been able to do justice to your question. You've got to build relationships. You've got to build relations. This is very, very important. It's so strong. Let me give you another example. God called Moses. Okay, God called Moses and told him to lead the children of Israel, okay, to the promised land. Before they left Egypt, God told the children of Israel, the Jews, he told them to ask their Egyptian masters, okay, for things. And God gave them favor. So these people left Egypt loaded with wealth. When they got to the wilderness, God told Moses to build a tabernacle. God gave him the specifics of the tabernacle. Now, Moses was a shepherd. Moses was not skillful enough to build a tabernacle. God said, I have filled Bezalel and Aholiab with skill and some other men with skill to build what I've called you to build. I'm rushing this because of time. At every point in time, there's always the visionary, skillful men, and then people with resources. For the tabernacle to be built, there has to be a collaboration. The Jews had wealth they didn't need in the wilderness. The skillful men had skill that was useless without the vision of Moses. And this is Moses who has a vision but no skill and resources to pull off his vision. So they all had to collaborate for the tabernacle to be built. And it's the same thing with all of us. The quality of your relationships will determine the skillful men and the people of means in your life. And that is how you will achieve God's agenda for you. Okay, the question on Mixah says, please, how do you know when you are not ahead of yourself? Especially when you are believing God for something. It looks like time is going, but God is not saying anything at the moment. And you have been thinking through it over and over. Now, this question is deep. So the issue here really is there is a place for God and there is a place for man. A lot of times we think we are waiting for God when God is the one waiting for us. Okay? When God has given you an instruction, until you execute the last thing he told you, he will not say anything again. So most of the time when it looks like you are not hearing anything from God, check it very well. You may not have obeyed your last instruction. Okay? You may not have obeyed your last instruction, or you are not in alignment. Okay? How do I put this? You are not in alignment, okay, with God's values, with God's standards, until you get that in place. Sometimes we are just busy in our soul. That's why we can't hear God. Sometimes we are not living in obedience. That's why we cannot hear God. And a lot of times we have not obeyed our last instruction. Okay, but this person that sent this question, you know me very well. So see me later and ask in specific terms so that I can throw some light on your question. Okay, another question here says, how do you make friends with politicians? They think transactionally. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with transactional relationships. And this is what I mean. As long as you don't violate your values. Now, what do I mean? We all transact every day. A lot of our relationships are transactional, as long as they are mutually beneficial. So the question is, why do I need to build a relationship with a politician? Let me use myself as an example. My primary objective is to help people discover themselves and make the most of life. If I build a relationship with a politician and I have with one or two persons like that, it is for me to influence them to do right when they get in office. I believe strongly that I'm one of those people responsible for raising leaders who will lead better societies. So that is the basis of our relationship. Okay, so the challenge is when the objective of the relationship is not defined from the outset. If I'm in a relationship with any politician, that's my objective. Okay. And so what do I want to gain from the politician? My gain is that the politician gets in office and the politician leads righteously. That is my gain. It is when I have an inordinate desire of a politician, that is when the relationship becomes, counterproductive. Because if a politician who wants to relate with me, for example, he may be thinking, oh, he has influence. If he's close to me, then he can canvass for me and his followers will vote for me. So from the get-go, I let you know I don't do that. Okay, I'm not going to campaign for you. I'm never going to leverage my influence for personal gain, and I'm not going to leverage my influence, for another person's gain. It's for the benefit of those that I am leading. It's not up for that politician to, oh, this guy isn't the kind of guy I want to relate with. But if you're interested in, okay, look, I want to learn from you leadership skills. I want to learn from you values that would help me lead righteously when I get into office. Fine, I will offer advice from time to time. I have 1 or 2 persons that will consult with me and I offer them advice, on leadership, on organizational management, on people management, and that's it. My gain is when they become what they ought to become and they lead properly. So when the relationship is defined properly from the outset, there's nothing wrong, with the transaction. Most of our relationships are transactional. If you're on 9 to 5, it's a transactional relationship. If they don't pay you for 6 months, you're likely not to go to work. Okay, but then when you're at work, you give your best. You do more than you are being paid to do because that's who you are. But the relationship is transactional. I hope I was able to do justice to that. Okay, I don't think we have any question. So let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much for being a part of this tonight. For everybody who has sent in a question, thank you very much. The questions take, the conversation to another level. With questions, we get to cover much more, ground than we could have covered without questions. So for those of us who are faithful, in joining me every Wednesday, please send in questions from time to time. It's important so that we can cover more ground. All right. Thank you very much for being a part of this on Mixah, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. Thank you for joining me for tonight's session. I look forward to seeing you next week, Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your week and God bless you. Bye-bye.